risen.
He is risen indeed.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Today we celebrate the event that has changed the world. Today we gather with Christians all over the world and all throughout history to celebrate this one powerful event. God raising His Son Jesus from the dead and renewing all of creation. It's very important to note that the first day of the week, God rose Jesus from the dead. It was on this day, Sunday, just like the first day of creation, God was saying, "Let there be light." Now, on the first day of the new creation, God is saying, "Let there be light." And let there be light eternal. And since that event, every week, Christians have met on that first day, on Sunday, to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord. And indeed, every Sunday is a celebration of this event. An event that truly does change the world as we know it. Now, there's a lot of people who claim that certain events and things can change the world or change life as we know it. They come up with new types of gadgets all the time. Supposedly, they're going to change your life. They might add a little convenience to life. They might make things go a little faster, but seldom do they change their life, your life. Things remain pretty much the same. Recently, I read an article in the Atlantic Journal about a list of inventions that really did change the way we live. The list included things that were invented since the wheel. The top of the list was a printing press. And then that was followed by harnessing electricity. Next on the list was the invention of penicillin. And that was followed by the semiconductor. The next thing in the article was the optical lens. Then paper, the internet, and then finally the steam engine. All of these changed the way in which we communicate. They made our lives run simpler. They allowed us to travel with greater convenience. But they did not really change life. And one thing's for sure, they did not change death. The fact is, death is still a reality for all of us. And no invention has come around to change that. As people, we encounter death all the time. We know that we are mortal, that our time in this life is limited. We know, for example, that one day our days will come to an end. But one of the ways this affects our culture is we have developed what I call a death-denying culture. We try to avoid this topic. We don't like to talk about it. And not only that, we have a medical industry that is busy trying to keep our mortality at bay. But we also spend millions of dollars every year trying to look young. And yet we know deep down that this is a ruse, that it doesn't work. In the end, we all die. The mortality rate, as I said, runs about 100%. That's reality. But before we experience that death, we experience little small deaths or griefs throughout life. We lose people that we love. We lose friends. Marriages will end. Trust will be broken. Relationships are fractured. We lose jobs. We suffer defeats. Dreams die. Disappointments are many. Many of you are familiar with that old saying. It was very appropriate this past Tuesday as we filed our tax returns. In life, there's only two things that are certain: death and taxes. Death and taxes. A bleak picture of our existence, isn't it? Those are the only two things that are certain. I remember years ago when I was a young pastor reading a clergy journal, and in this journal there was a cartoon, and it depicted a empty tomb where the stone had been rolled back, and there was a Roman guard there standing with a spear, looking into the tomb. And he said, "Well, I guess that means only taxes now are certain." Not so fast. Death still is certain for all, is certainty for all of us. But we have in this promise, we have in the promise that God has the power and the ability to transform our death into eternal life because of the death and resurrection of His Son, Jesus. In the depiction of the resurrection told by Matthew, Matthew adds great and vivid details. He talks about, an angel descending from the clouds. He talks about the angel having the appearance of lightning, his clothes white as snow. He talks about the angel rolling away the stone and sitting on that stone. That gesture, sitting on that stone, was very, very symbolic. It demonstrated that God has power over death. It's kind of like going to the old family reunion years ago when your cousin, who was older, bigger, and stronger than you, would throw you to the ground and sit on you until you cried "Mama," just to show that he could do it. In that sense, that position, sitting on that stone, was God demonstrating that He had the power over death. The message of the angel was received by the women. They moved forward with fear and joy, we are told. And likewise, through life, we will move with fear and joy as well. It's hard for us not to. It'd be hard for them not to have fear as well. Seeing an angel, experiencing an earthquake, and then finding out that the friend that they were going to pay reverence to, that his body was gone, and the news that he had been raised from the dead. We too, like those women, will experience both fear and joy as we celebrate God's victory over death. Let us keep our eyes open and let our hearts be open, however, to see the resurrected Christ working in the world. And let's always be people of courage, knowing that the ultimate power in the world belongs to our loving Father, who has raised His Son from the dead